Suit up, strap in, warm the tires, and leave on yellow. Time for the MitsuTimes podcast. Presented by MitsuTimes.org, the home of the fastest Mitsubishi cars. With your host, Josh.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Josh with MitsuTimes. Today, my guest is Jason Drew. He is the owner and driver of his 9-second DSM 2G. I'm sure you've seen it, very popular on YouTube. How you doing today, Jason?
Hey, not too bad. Excited to do this.
Heck yeah. Hopefully it's not too cold up there yet.
It's actually raining and like 40 degrees here, so it's not the great white north today.
Not yet, I guess, huh?
No, it'll be here, and unfortunately, it'll stay until like April, unfortunately.
Yeah. When I was talking to Jim Flash about the SSPA races, he was like, oh yeah, we don't start until about July. That's when it warms up.
Yeah, June, July. It's usually about middle of June, somewhere about there, but it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. So, Jason, why don't you tell us about the setup on your car as it sits now?
Okay, well, it's a 97 GST, which I converted to a GSX many years ago, and right now it just sits with a basic 6-bolt Eagle Wiseco engine block there, nothing too fancy. Still got a 2G head on it. What else do I got in there? I've got a Turbo Parts Canada GT spec turbo on it, Evo 3 intake manifold. I got some Alpha 2200cc injectors, and probably one of the biggest things is the PPG dog box.
Heck yeah. Was it your car or your brother's car that you did the video of the all-wheel drive swap?
That was my brother's, but I did mine, I want to say it was 11 or 12 years ago now, so I had some experience doing it, and I had some ideas in my head where we could make things better on the second go around. So yeah, I learned a few things and taught my brother the ways.
I feel like I see that video get passed around a lot.
Well, there was never really any good all-wheel drive swap demos on YouTube or whatever. You know, everything back in the day was forums, and then the forum started to die away a little bit, and the younger generation doesn't know about the forums. If they can't find it on Facebook, well, all hope is lost for the most part. But so I decided, well, I've got the opportunity here to do another all-wheel drive swap. I might as well document the process and help a few people out.
Definitely. I still think my favorite video of yours, though, is the how to swap your 420A Eclipse to a 4G6 Series.
Yeah, that was just a little internet trolling there, but for some reason it seemed to have taken off.
I love that. So, Jason, what made you choose the 2G platform so many years ago?
Well, my first car was a 1992 Dodge Daytona, so kind of in the same family. You know, it had the V6 there, the 6G72.
Okay.
And I thought it was pretty fast back in the day. I was 17, 18 years old. Thought it was a fun car and had lots of fun with it. And then I was on the highway one day, just minding my own business, and happened to roll up on a 2GB GSX, I believe it was. It could have been a GST, but I have a feeling it was a GSX. This is back before I really even knew about the cars. And, well, just to put it quickly, I got gapped. And I'm like, I need one of those.
Definitely. I do love those Daytonas, though.
It was a fun car, and man, I wish I kept it. I would have loved to done something with it now knowing what I know.
Right, for sure. And it seems like they don't really have an exception to the, all the cars getting more expensive. It's like they're going up too, even though you don't really see them as much.
Oh, definitely. I bought that. That was my first car. I bought it for $1,000 cash, and you couldn't even buy one headlight off of one of those for $1,000 these days. So.
That's so true. So what was your 2G like when you first got it?
It was pretty well bone stock. It had been lowered already, but other than that, still had the original plastic blow-off valve, stock 7-bolt. A few little cosmetic mods, but other than that, it was a bone stock front wheel drive GST, and I thought I had something special back then, and then I learned what the possibilities were, and well, it's been all downhill from there, honestly.
At least financially wise.
Pretty much, yeah. It's been great for other aspects, like the community of the DSM gang is like nothing I've ever seen before. And I've met a lot of great people through these cars.
So, did you have any goals when you first got the car?
The original goal was just to have a nice daily driver. The car was really clean. I just wanted to keep it like that. And I drove it for about, I think it was about a year. Just daily drove it, had fun with it. Me and the wife actually drove a month after I bought it, kind of taking a risk here, not knowing how unreliable DSMs apparently were. We drove it 13 hours on vacation to Prince Edward Island, Canada.
Wow.
But, there and back 13 hours each way, never gave us even a hiccup of issues. And then I drove it many other trips. I bought the car with 48,000 miles on it. It was a U.S. car that was imported into Canada.
Okay.
So it's in miles, not what do we call it, degrees science or whatever up here. Anyway, so between then buying it at 48,000 miles, and I'll tell you right now, the car sits at 160 something thousand miles. So the car's been driven.
For sure. And you've driven it to the shootout and raced it and drove it home, right?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, I drove the car to the shootout 6 times, there and back. That's about a 12 and a half, 13-hour trip for me. I'm kind of like right in the middle, right in southeastern Quebec, so it's far from everything, basically. I drove it first 2 or 3 times. It was just to spectate. Never had an issue with it. Then I grew a little more confidence in it, and this is after it was all-wheel drive swapped. And then I believe I did the 11.5 index class, and then managed to work my way up to the 10.5 index class. And after that, I ended up buying myself a truck and trailer and stuff, and not necessarily because I was scared the car wouldn't make it there anymore, but more or less because I'm just getting older myself, and sitting in the DSM for 13 hours is not my idea of a good time anymore.
Yeah,
so
sure.
the back doesn't appreciate it as much as it used to. So now I can sit in the nice comfortable seat of my truck with air conditioning and just enjoy the ride.
Yep. And not have to have the anxiety of, what was that sound? What does that smell? Was that there before?
Yeah, exactly. That first drive after you do any mods in the engine bay, that's always it's a little nerve-wracking.
For sure. So, Jason, you've had a couple different setups in this that have really propelled you along. Like you said, starting in the 11.5 index and then going to 10.5. Is there any setups that you want to talk about that really worked out well for you?
Oh, the car's made, the car's been through probably 5 or 6 different setups over the years. As we touched on when I first got it there, I just wanted a daily driver, and unfortunately one of my friends like, oh, you should try it on the drag strip, and that resulted in like a 15.7 or something at say 87 miles an hour or whatever, and I was like, well, I thought this car was faster than that. So I did the first thing every DSMer does probably, and throws a 14B on it.
Yep.
Untuned, whatever, just threw it on, cranked the boost up, and ran it like that for a year or so. Got a 16G, so I made the next little step up, and that wasn't enough power for very long. And then I moved on to a 20G, and that livened it up a little bit, and I enjoyed that. That was a fun street turbo. Had a lot of fun with that. That was one of the turbos that went to the shootout on, I believe. And that's also about the time when I realized that I was having a lot of traction issues being front-wheel drive. So that's when I also did the all-wheel drive swap. So I can't remember the exact times, but I want to say doing the all-wheel drive swap, and this was still on the 20G. I dropped 2 seconds off my ET just by the all-wheel drive swap.
Wow.
So that's a pretty good jump without changing the power of the car.
That's huge.
So from there, yeah, that was amazed by that, and then, like I said, everything just spirals out of control from there. From there, actually, yeah, on the way back from the shootout one year. Now, like I said, the car never gave me any trouble to and from the shootout, but the day after I got back, it was not the 20G. I had a 50 trim after the 20G, and yeah, the 50 trim, I was on the way to work and it let go on me, and just a cloud of smoke. I was actually might have been toying around with a Camaro on the highway on the way to work. Maybe not. This, who knows?
To be determined.
Anyways, yeah, to be determined. So got to work, and on my break time, I looked to see what was available and looked to see that I could get an FP Red probably within the next 2 days. So 2 days later, that was on my doorstep, and then it was on the car, and that turbo stayed on the car for a good many years. And that was, yes, a little laggier, but the top end pull on that FP Red was something else compared to everything else that I had had. Yeah, that was fun.
I think that's the turbo that I really remember your car on. Yeah,
that turbo made a lot of YouTube videos. I think the car, when I first put it on, I want to say the car was in the high 11s, and then that turbo eventually got the car into the 10s.
Okay.
And then I pushed it a little further until I hooked up with a good friend, Nick from Turbo Parts Canada.
Yeah.
Met him many years ago, and he actually rode out with me to the shootout one year for his first experience of the shootout.
Nice.
And he started his own turbo business, and he was looking at mostly, I think at first he was mostly doing OEM rebuilds for industrial stuff.
Right.
And he wanted to branch into the performance stuff, and he asked me if I would be willing to do a little bit of R&D and testing for him. So that led me to the current turbo path I'm on. So right now, well, up until a month ago, the car had what we call a TPC GT spec on it. So it's still a stock frame turbo bolt-on housing, but I managed to get about 74 pounds a minute of airflow out of that turbo.
Okay.
And that propelled the car into the 9s.
Okay. Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty fun, and now
I think we have to say that the price of that turbo for a 9-second to put you into the 9s that's amazing.
Yeah, and the car was also on pump gas and methanol because we don't have E85 up here, at least not for a reasonable price.
Right.
So trying to street drive a car tuned on E85 is when you're spending it's about $120 for a 5-gallon pail. So
wow.
You want to talk about expensive. So yeah, I went the whole methanol injection route. Never had any issues with that, and obviously propelled the car into the 9s. I knew ethanol would be a better choice, but I wanted the car to roll down the track exactly the way it rolled on the street. So that was my goal originally, to hit 10s in street trim, I'll say, and then I said that'll be enough. I'll be fine with 10s, and then, well, like everyone else, most likely, or most every DSMer, once they attain a goal, like, well, I might as well go to the next step. And I'm like, well, can I get into the 9s on pump gas and meth and bolt-on turbo, OEM-ish manifold, being a Evo 3 intake manifold? It's not OEM to the DSM, but it does flow a little better, and it is a Mitsubishi manifold.
Yeah.
So yeah, so finally got there, and then this year, 2022 was my first venture into ethanol, and we're taking the car to the next level now.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks like you've been doing, very well at the up there at the events.
Yeah, we have a great little group here, as you mentioned earlier, SSPA Quebec. It's a good group. There's about, I want to say, 40 of us that compete in the event. everything from Honda Civics to DSMs. There's Lexus IS, 2JZ wagon. We've got my buddy's got a Chevy Nova in there. Fox bodies. It's a good little group. Everybody's friends. Everybody, if somebody breaks something, even if we're on a different platform, we're trying to help each other out. My buddy Jamie, he's got a 2G DSM. We're a little bit competitive towards each other and back and forth ET wise. He broke, or his map sensor failed on his DSM, and I didn't have a spare, and our other buddy Jason didn't have a spare, but we found one of the Honda boys had a 7-bar K-Tune sensor, which happened to work out with his setup, but we didn't know that DSM Link doesn't officially support a 7-bar map sensor, but with a little bit of fooling around in ECM Link, we managed to get it work, and he was able to finish his weekend.
Wow. 7-bar. Wow, that's
yeah.
insane.
So yeah, he actually surpassed my ET, and I'll say it's because he mixed Honda parts in with the mix now, so that's why he's faster than me.
Cheated.
Yeah. So
Jason, after kind of going through this whole thing and starting off with the front wheel drive and getting to where you are now, you think that you would do everything exactly the same?
More or less. And I also look at the fact that I kind of did get to do it again because my brother purchased his, my brother, for those who don't know, is quite a bit younger than me. I'm turning 40 and my brother is 25, 26. So he's going to kick my butt there for not even knowing when his birthday is, but I think he turns 26 this year. But, so he's quite a bit younger than me. And then, of course, he was a little jealous of my car and he liked it and whatnot. I remember him being, even well before he had his driver's license, he loved the car and always wanted to sit in and check out what I'm doing and stuff. Yeah. So finally, when the timing was right, he found one. And it was kind of the same sort of deal as I started off with, front-wheel drive, although this one had a few modifications already. But it was too good of a deal to pass up. The car was clean. And that's been basically my second attempt at building up a DSM from stock. And I've used a lot of the knowledge I've gained over the past nearly 15 years to help him get his to where he wants it to be without taking all the unnecessary steps that I did. I don't regret any of the steps that I did because I've always looked at the car as a learning process.
Right.
I started off my career as an industrial mechanic, and so it's a similar path or similar idea as an automotive mechanic working on machinery instead of cars, but it all translates from one to the other, and so I built up a lot of knowledge in that trade that helped me along the way. And then as I transitioned into more automotive stuff, I just used the car to further teach myself whatever I needed to do. There's not much of it. I'm in a small town here of about 1,800, 2,000 people or so. I was the only DSM for the longest time until my brother got his. And so everyone else that I knew was at least 2 hours away from me. So if I wanted to do something, I needed to basically learn and do it myself. And so that's what I did. The car has been what has pushed me to enhance my knowledge over the years. When I first started, doing tires and brakes and little things here and there, belts or whatever, was the extent of my knowledge of cars. And now, like, I'll rebuild engines, transmissions. I'm known in the area for working on the DSM transmissions. And now I've started to share over the last few years, sharing my info that I've learned over the years on YouTube, trying to help others out and just progressing with it. Basically, I told myself, I don't care what part it is on the car. If I need to work on it or improve it, I'm going to learn how to do it myself. I taught myself how to TIG weld, taught myself how to rebuild engines, taught myself how to rebuild the transmissions, built my own dog box now. The engine that's in the car that's been in there for seven seasons now. Basically the only thing I can't do is alignments and turbo balancing. So, but I've got friends for things like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Gotta have
so I'll leave. Exactly. I'll leave those things to the professionals, and I'll do everything I can and share the info that I can.
That's awesome. So, Jason, what is it about this car that keeps you motivated to keep pushing it? I know, it seems like the more kind of Evo people I talk to, they say, oh, well, I did started off with DSMs. I made the normal progression into Evos, and I don't feel like that. So I want to get, what is it about this car that makes you keep pushing it and not move on to something else?
I think a lot of it is because I have so much time and effort devoted in this car that I don't want to start over on something else. Mm-hmm. Other people have told me early on when I did the all-wheel drive swap, well, why don't you just buy a GSX and skip all the manual labor and all the headaches of doing the all-wheel drive swap? And I'm like, well, because I've already got 4 or 5 years into the car, and I know the car inside and out.
Right.
I know the electrical is solid. The car doesn't have any weird little gremlins here and there. So why would I pick up somebody else's project and correct all their headaches? Because let's face it, if you see a DSM for sale, most of the time it's because the person is sick of dealing with its problems.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, basically just the time and the effort involved in the car, and I really enjoy the community. My first DSM shootout was in 2008, I think it was, and I went every year except for I missed 1 year, 2015-ish or somewhere around there, and obviously the last 3 years because of the border being shut down and whatnot, I simply could not go. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've met some great friends in the U.S., Canada, and actually I've had some people from Mexico and elsewhere friend me, and I don't care where you're from or who you are or whatever. If you want to talk DSM, I'm ready to talk DSM. I love the community. That's what drives me to keep going in it.
Heck yeah, I love that. Definitely, the DSM community is definitely one of a kind.
Yep.
So what are your goals for 2023 with this car?
Well, right now, the car went a 974 this year. Not quite as quick as I wanted it to. I battled through a couple little issues in the middle of summer. The last, like everyone else, the last 2 years has just been going by really quickly. My work has been crazy busier than ever. And I haven't had as much time to devote to the car as I would have hoped for.
Gotcha.
But so the car didn't achieve the goal I set out for it in my head. I wanted to hit a 9.5 this year. My goal, honestly, every year is to just be faster than the year it was before. And it did that. I surpassed my 985 in 2021 with a 974. But then on the very last outing at the track, I had a little issue there, kind of torched the head a little bit, and decided, well, it's time to tear it down and build it bigger, better for next year. So right now, Black Friday deals and whatnot, I just became the owner of a Fuel Tech FT550.
Nice.
So the car will be going a complete overhaul electrically. And that's going to be the big thing for 2023, as well as I'd like to drop a little more weight off of the car, pricing out some drag brakes, a few other little things here and there. There might be a couple little surprises that pop up on YouTube, visually on the car or aesthetically on the car when it comes out in the spring.
Okay.
I'll keep everybody in suspense for those, but there's a few people who didn't want me to make the car into an all-out drag car, but as I said before, I'll be turning 40 here in a couple months, and I had my fun on the street with the car, and I realize now that my license is worth much more than to have bragging rights on the streets. So the car has become a dedicated drag car at this point, and so I might as well take the car to that level And if I want to be competitive in the events around here, we're dealing with some really fast cars at the SSPA Quebec. Basically, we have the way our event works, everybody qualifies, and then in round one, all the winners from round one of eliminations go into Group A, and then all the losers in round one form Group B, and then the two groups race each other for winner of Group A and winner of Group B. And right now, a mid 9-second DSM is not fast enough for Group A, and it's also a little unfair for the Group B people, I find, because the Group B tends to be, we'll say, bottom 10-second cars to 12-second cars. I was at that level at some point, and I was, not to say it was unfair, but it kind of, it doesn't feel good when you're outclassed and there's just nothing you can do about it. And I don't want to be the guy that's beating up on the guys who are just starting out or aren't taking it as seriously. So I want to get my car to be competitive in Group A. So that said, the car's goal now is to touch 8s.
Okay, awesome. I love that. I think you with the fuel tech and everything, I think you got a good start going there.
I think so. I built up the drivetrain over the last couple of years now. The PPG dog box, built transfer case, DSS carbon fiber drive shaft, A1 CV Tech rear axles, girdle rear diff cover. Basically, I've done everything I could do to solidify the drivetrain. It's kind of been my theory is to attack one part of the car per year. So in the last 2 years, basically, it was the drivetrain, and this year will be 2 years ago, 2020 was the drivetrain when I took care of all of that.
Okay.
2021 was safety. Last year I put the 10-point cage in the car, parachute, you name it. I upgraded all my personal safety gear, pants, jacket, helmet. So this year will be electronics. And I think I have the rest of the recipe for the car to get where I want it to go.
I like that upgrade plan. That's a pretty good idea.
This episode of the MitsuTimes podcast is brought to you by Alpha Injection Clinic. They offer 6 different sizes of injectors for Mitsubishi platforms, from 1000cc all the way up to 2600cc, as well as DSM Evo resistor pack, delete plug. They also sell injector pigtails and plug-and-play adapters. Alpha Injection Clinic is your partner when it comes to upgrading your fuel injectors. Check out all their products at alphainjection.com.
So, Jason, do you have any long-term quarter-mile goals? Is 8's it, and then just make it reliable from there?
I've made this prediction many times over the years. I said I would stop at 10s, and then I said I would stop at 9s, and now I'm saying I'll stop at 8s. Okay. But I can't guarantee you anything.
It's understandable, especially when it comes to a DSMer. I feel like we're never satisfied.
No, a project car is never finished, because if it was finished, it's not a project car.
That's right. So you talked about the new fuel tech. Is there any other off-season upgrades that you want to talk about?
We're going to be dropping some rotating weight off the car, mainly some lightweight scallop drag brakes, eliminating more weight off the car, obviously. I'm going to be doing basically eliminating the entire wiring harness out of the car and building one from scratch. So my friend Jim Flash, as you spoke to him earlier, he saved about 80 pounds off the car by removing all the stock wiring.
No kidding.
It's a lot more than I would have thought.
Yeah, me too.
So that'll help the car. Right now, I didn't weigh the car last year, but my best guess is the car is between 2,800 and 2,900 pounds.
Okay.
So it's still fairly heavy. So I need to get the car down. I'd like to see about a 2,600 pound race weight. I've got a little bit of carbon fiber on the way. Like I said, we'll have to wait and see in the spring what those parts are. But we're going to try to get the car down to a little more competitive weight. And if all else fails, we'll just throw more power at it.
There you go. So, listen, have you had any other Mitsubishis in your life other than this one and your brother's?
Yes, and I still have one. My daily driver is a 2017 Mitsubishi Mirage.
Oh, nice.
Kind of the exact opposite of the DSM. And back when the fuel prices started getting crazy, I said, well, I've got a pickup and I've got the DSM. The DSM is becoming less and less of a daily driver, and the pickup, well, there just doesn't matter what pickup you have; they're expensive to run.
Right.
And I don't want to winter drive the pickup in the salt, so I'm like, well, let's just buy a cheap little car. It's cheap on gas and just it's easy to get around, and maintenance on it is, well, it's still under warranty at this point. So yeah, I bought the Mirage in 2019 and been daily driving the crap out of that for 3 years. And honestly, I love the car. Like it gets what is it, 40 or something miles to the gallon.
Yeah.
I got 20 today. I just filled it up this morning for $23. You can't kick on that. So.
Absolutely. My wife has a 2015. We love that thing.
Yeah, I'll drive all week on one tank of gas that cost me like $25.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
No, I can't complain on that. And the only thing I've done into the car in 3 years is change the brakes on it. That's the only repair work I've done on the car, and tires.
Anything that you fix on that car is so cheap.
Yeah, the last time I did the brakes, I bought the front pads and rotors for, I want to say it was like $70-something for everything.
It's amazing.
So I'm going to keep it. I was actually looking this year when trade-in prices were crazy this year for what things were worth. I like, well, I wonder if I should just trade this in towards a brand new one. But at the same point, I don't owe anything on it. I have no car payments. I think I'm just gonna drive it till it dies, basically.
Yeah. My wife wants to trade hers for the sedan version instead of the hatchback.
Yeah. The G4, yeah.
But she got one of the special edition colors, the pink one, and she doesn't want to let it go.
Yeah, my wife eyed that color when we were first shopping around. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to drive it too. We'll settle on silver.
There you go. That's smart. I wish I would have done that.
Yeah. And I'm a hockey player as well, so the hatchback is nice. I can just throw the hockey bag in the back. So
it has a
super practical,
big trunk. Yeah.
Yeah, you can put a 55-inch TV back there if you didn't know that.
Wow. So, Jason, after all these years and all the experience you've gained, if somebody out there, they're thinking about building their 2G for drag racing, is there any advice that you would give them so they don't make some of the mistakes that you might have made over the years?
Number one would be to check out my YouTube channel and check out the video Top 10 Tips for New DSMers. That would be my number one tip.
There you go.
That applies to everyone starting out and also towards drag racing. And my number two tip would be, which after maintenance, would be to start out with the tuning aspect of the car, because there's actually a lot left on the table in the car just by retuning the car. The stock fuel tables are crazy rich, and even on a front-wheel drive GST, you can probably gain nearly a second by tuning the car. That's what I would do. After that, I kind of did the mistake of 850cc injectors will be enough, and then pretty soon I overran those. So I would just say, get yourself on like high impedance 1600cc injector, somewhere around there, and just start right there. It'll be good enough for most people on pump gas or ethanol. That's what I would do. And I would also, one of the YouTube videos I want to make is a video kind of just explaining the best sources for parts for these cars, because we all know that building these cars off of eBay doesn't tend to lend to reliability very well.
Right.
So,
I would... people being so cheap, that seems to be what we go to.
Yeah, that's one thing I learned early on is that triangle of cheap, reliable, and fast, and you only get to pick two, and it holds true to these cars.
Definitely.
There's a few little things here that you can get away with, like an eBay exhaust. Pipe is pretty much pipe for the most part, but unless you're trying to get everything out of the car. But for the most part, when it comes to especially timing components, drivetrain parts, whatever like that, anything that's critical, stick to OEM or known good aftermarket parts. We have a pretty good gang of guys building stuff in the community.
Definitely. Like
Paul Volk, Frontline Fab makes some nice parts. MCR, just there's some good stuff out there. And if you stick to the guys who support the community and not these off-brand knockoffs, yeah, for the most part, you'll have a pretty good experience with your car.
Definitely. It should also be said, if you have a 428 car and you're looking to make a GSX, just look for Jason's
just check out my YouTube video.
Yeah.
It can be done. Miguel DSM on YouTube, he's proof it can be done, but you got to be prepared that's going to be a $10,000 venture. And at that point, I told everybody, I stuck with my car because I know the car inside and out. But you have to come to the reality. Do you want to spend 10 grand or more on a car and have a drivetrain that's worth more than the car itself?
Right.
Yes, it's a good platform, and Miguel, like I said, he's done a heck of a job on the car, but he battled some hurdles with that thing too, and I'm sure it cost him a lot more in the long run than he anticipated.
And he basically had to swap the platform instead of just
exactly
putting an engine in.
That's what I've told people. It's like a 420A to a 4G63 is not an engine swap. It's a platform swap. Basically, you start off by removing everything Chrysler and install everything Mitsubishi.
Right. Yep. I'm glad that he did it. It's very respectable that he did that, but man, it has motivated so many people who don't have the know-how or the funds to get it done.
Yeah, that's one of the things you need if you want to build these cars. Like, we got to face it, most of the people building these cars are building them because they're a cheaper platform to work on and don't have the funds or the ability to build something else. Everybody can say, well, the LS platform is cheap to build, but when you start looking at making an LS reliable, it's not really any different, if not more expensive. Well, you've got, when it comes to building the engine, you've got double of everything. So.
Right. So, Jason, what events do you plan to attend in 2023 where we can come out and see your car in action?
In 2023, I'll be attending the SSPA Quebec as per usual, and we just got word this year that Pro Tree Videos will be filming our events this year. So you can check that out on YouTube. They do a lot of no prep stuff here in Canada and Ontario and Quebec. Yeah, so they're going to be following us. SSPA Quebec also has a Facebook page where you can check in for updates and live feeds. I'm going to try my best this year to attend the DSM shootout. It's going to be the 30th year, and I don't want to miss that. I want to keep that, help keep that event going. One of the best events I've gone to. I don't take the racing there seriously. I go just to hang out with all the great people and see the other cars and try to learn from other people what they're doing to make theirs successful.
Yeah.
And other than that, there isn't a lot of other events around here for me to attend, but I don't know, maybe an IFO or something in New Hampshire, potentially. I thought about it this year, but timing just didn't work out. We'll see. And I always hit up some Friday night testing tunes here and there.
There you go. That's a good plan. That's already a full schedule right there.
Pretty much with my busy work schedule and other things I need to do. I'm a homeowner, so there's always plenty to do there.
So, Jason, you've been in this game for a long time, and you've seen the top 10 quickest 2Gs come and go and change hands and, everything in between. With you being out there and seeing so many cars coming up to the list, is there Anything that you think you can foresee about, or any predictions that you want to make about the future of the top 10 list?
I'd like to see the whole top 10 in the 7s, or we already have one in the 6.
Yeah.
But maybe another one in the 6, and I'd like to see the top 10 all in the 7s. And maybe one day I could join that top 10. I don't know. I don't think my budget's going to allow it. And if these guys all progress at the same rate that I am, then well, they're going to be ahead of me by a long shot. But one can only hope. But right now, I don't know. What am I sitting at? I'm in the top 40 anyway, somewhere around there. I'd be honestly quite happy to be in the top 20.
Yeah,
with as
quick as this list is, for sure.
Yeah. DSM's their times got a little stagnant for a while, for a few years, but now I think technology has improved so much that the platform is kind of regaining a little traction.
For sure.
That's what I would like to see, a top 10 of all 7s. That would be ideal. And if I can break into the top 20, super pumped.
Even better. I know you said your friend Jamie, he's getting up there pretty close.
Yeah, Jamie, he battled through some issues like all of us, and he actually surpassed my ET. He won a 964 this year, I believe it was. We were actually in the semifinals, SSPA round 2, I think it was, and both of us were really trying to get in the finals, and he just had his wick turned up a little harder than mine, and he ran a 964 to my 974. I treat him, but he just had more on me on the top end, so
reeled it in.
It was just, and then he went on to win Group B. So it was nice regardless to have a DSM on top, and got to see that and experience that. And he's worked hard on that car for years, and I'm happy to see the trophy go to one of my friends.
Definitely, that's awesome. Love to see DSMs in first place.
Yep.
Especially these days when I feel like people are thinking, what kind of car is that?
Yeah. There's so many kids out there that have no clue what it is. As I'm on my way to the racetrack, I have a 2-hour drive each way. So as I'm driving along on the highway, I kind of, when somebody passes me, I've just this year picked up a small RV, so I'm towing the DSM out to the track with the RV, minding my own business, doing about 65 miles an hour. So I have the time to see the cars passing me, and I can tell who's a car enthusiast because I'll see either kids or young adults or whatever, or even older people looking out the window staring at the car. I guess, a DSM with a parachute on the back, you don't see that every day.
It means business.
Yeah. So one day I was at a gas station dropping $300 of gas into the RV, and I could hear these guys snickering on the other side of the pump, like, wow, that car's got an exhaust coming out the bumper. Like it must be fast. I'm like, well, I said, it's not too bad.
It's not slow.
No, it's, by today's standards, it's not super fast. 10 years ago, it would have been a whole different level. But anyways, I'm having fun with it. I don't really care. I don't care where the car is at as long as I'm having fun. And like I said, my goal is to just be quicker and faster than the year prior. So I've maintained that goal for the last 7 or 8 years. Every year I've come home with a quicker ET and a faster mile per hour.
Awesome. Man, what did they have? A Black Friday on RVs up there? You and Sebastian bought one this year?
Well, I got mine very early in the summer, and because, like I said, our track is Naperville Dragway, is 2 hours from home, and the event is 2 days. So
yeah,
with my truck, it's round trip is like $150 of gas or so. Well, now the RV is $300 of gas, but I don't have to drop $150 a night on a hotel room with who knows. Some cheaper motels are a little questionable. Right. So now I've got my own RV. I've got my own private bathroom.
Got your own hotel.
That's the best of it right there. Just being able to get out of your fire suit and go sit in the AC for 5 minutes. Yeah. Oh, that's the best. But Sebastian brings his girlfriend along, and I think she more or less told him they're getting an RV.
Oh man, that's awesome.
I gave her the tour, and she's like, "Yep, we're getting one of these."
Gotta have one now.
That's it. It's not a question. So I think his car budget just took a little nosedive, but it'll be worth it. I told him it'll be worth it.
Yep. He said he really wants to make it to the shootout, and RV's gonna.
Yeah, I hope he does. I hope we've got. What do we have? We have about 6 or 7 DSMs local here. Well, to Naperville, we've got Jamie, Sebastian, Jim, Fred, Nick from TPC, Jamie and Jason, and then myself. I wasn't counting however many that was, but it'd be nice to see the whole gang out at the shootout this year. Canada usually has a pretty good showing at the shootout. I think the last time we were all there was 10 of us. And we all have our little groupie there with the Canadian flags flying, and I hope to do the same thing again.
You need to bring those Hondas from World Cup with you. My God, they were fast.
Now, I guess they are allowed now, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, that might be. Maybe I'll have to get after them. Like, see, if you guys want to prove that you're faster than us, come show it.
Yeah, exactly.
That could be fun. I'll get after those guys.
They had a great World Cup showing.
Oh yeah, that was my first time at World Cup, and that was great, and it was fun to help out with the guys a little bit. I spent more time in the pits just helping these guys out than actually watching the racing, and I loved every minute of it.
Yeah. So, Jason, where can people follow you? I know we talked about your YouTube channel a lot, but we didn't say exactly what it was. You want to drop all your info?
Sure, yeah. So YouTube, just search Jason Drews DSM. It'll be the first thing come up. Or if you search for DSM top 10 tips, it'll be the #1 video that comes up. After that, I'm on Instagram. It's JDXNC, if I remember correctly. And I actually started a TikTok channel. There's only a couple of videos up there. I don't know how much I'm going to get into that, but it seems to be the way everything's going. So why not?
Exactly.
And I'm on Facebook like everybody else. Well, for the most part, anyways. It is what it is.
TikTok has brought a lot of traffic to the website, so I'm gonna quit bashing it now, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's doing something. I've seen quite a bit of action on there, so a lot more. I posted up one video like, oh, I'll try this out, and like in a couple of days, it had a lot of views. I'm like, oh, that's maybe worth looking into a little more.
Yeah. I don't know how the monetization or anything like that works like YouTube, but
there's no TikTok monetization in Canada, so it's pure joy. And like honestly, for myself, I'm we'll call it semi YouTube famous with 6,000 plus followers. I'm no Jaffro, but it is still kind of neat. Like it doesn't really matter where. I was at World Cup. I was standing along the fence in front of the VIP bleachers, and a guy had not tapped on my shoulder. He's like, "Are you Jason Drew from Jason Drew's DSM?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, and he introduced himself. I can't remember his name now, but I was like, of all places, like at World Cup, like to be recognized here. That was my first World Cup, and it won't be my last. So
definitely after that one, I'm hooked now.
Yeah, and I think honestly, yeah, being disconnected for a few days honestly wasn't bad either. I'll say.
Yeah. Yep.
Just enjoying the show, but my #1 thing for next year is I'm getting one of those little electric scooters because holy crap, do you have to park far away?
I must have parked at least 1.75 miles away.
Yeah. Side note, I applied because I've got the RV. I said I'm going to get myself on the list for the RV park. So I got a response back about 2 weeks after the event. I am 442nd in line.
Wow.
So I don't think I'll be bringing the RV in 2023 unless I can find somebody from Quebec to tow down, and then I'll be in the pits. So I might offer up my services fairly cheap just to be able to get in.
Yeah.
Be well worth it.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you can, I want to make friends with somebody, so maybe I could park in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Jason, is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to or a thanks for getting your car where it is?
Of course, like I said, I try to do as much as I can myself, but it's not possible to do everything. And you also got to have a very understanding wife, which I do. She's not a lover of cars, but she understands my passion for it. Good. And is totally supportive of my journey, and wouldn't be here without her support. Of course, I've got Nick from Turbo Parts Canada. He's always wanting to try something. Like I haven't even maxed out what I have. He's like, we could probably do a little something that would make even more flow. Like, let me max out this one first. Like, and then we've got A1CV Tech helped me out back in 2020, solidifying the drivetrain. Basically, for the longest time, we only had drive shaft shop and OEM axles available, and some parts store ones, which are pretty much non-existent anymore. So I approached those guys, and now we have another shop that's able to build rear axles for the 2G DSM. They've held up really well. I've cut a 138 60-foot on them, so they're doing what they said they would do. Other than that, I've got RTM Racing here in Canada, Ziggy. Everybody who's ever bought something from Canada or has probably heard of Ziggy from RTM. One of the best guys in the business, and if I need something, I know I can place an order before, say, 3 p.m., and it's on my doorstep the next day. Wow. And he's like 8 hours away from me. I can't. He's not the cheapest, I'll say that, but I don't care what the price is if I can get the part next day.
Yeah, no kidding.
And he's got some of the strangest oddball parts in stock you couldn't imagine. You need a bolt for your, like, where else are you going to find a crank lock bolt? He's got it.
Wow.
Alpha Injection, they helped me out this year. I was out of injector and planning to switch to the 85, so they set me up with their 2200cc injectors, and those things are working out really well. So I'm all for those guys. They're doing what they told me they would do. And then I've got all my friends that I've met along the way. I've got the guys from Ontario, Jamie, Jason, and the guys from Quebec, Jim, Sebastian, Fred. We're all great friends there. We all look forward to getting to the track and just hanging out together. And there's a few other guys that I only get to see once in a while, but Jaffro's been a great source of info over the years. We've become good friends. I'm hoping actually to get down to visit him some point here and see his new shop. But he was supposed to make it out to World Cup, but unfortunately things didn't work out for him. But he said he made it to the shootout, and I couldn't. He texted me and gave me crap for not coming, and so I said, well, don't worry, I'll be at World Cup. And so I gave him crap for not showing up there.
There you go. Worked out.
No, yeah, and then I got to thank all the DSM Wisemen over the years who made the posts and whatnot on DSM tuners, and there's just a wealth of information there for anybody to absorb, and pretty much every question you could imagine has already been answered. I don't know what I'd do without that forum.
Yes. If you're thinking about posting something on Facebook, please search the forums first.
Exactly. So many people don't even know it exists. It's not funny.
Well, Jason, I appreciate you taking the time and coming on here and telling your story. I'm going to get to go to the first SSPA event next year, so hopefully I'll see you here in a couple months.
Yeah, can't wait to see you in another 6 or so months when the snow is gone.
And hopefully we'll get some updates.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. There will be some. I'll put some teasers out along the way.
There you go. I'll be glued to the YouTube channel waiting to see what's going on.
Alrighty. I'll be working my way up that top up the 2G list. Don't worry about it.
Good. All right, Jason, thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for listening to the MitsuTimes podcast. Check out our Instagram and Facebook for daily updates. Get added to our list by going to MitsuTimes.org and clicking Submit a Slip. Thank you to all of our sponsors.